What is going on YouTube? June here, and I'm back again with another Idols Heroes video. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive. I've been working on this for about a week now. I think I've put in like, I don't know, 50 hours, 60 hours. Just no life in all this stuff. This is why I fell in love with Idol Heroes. One of the main reasons why. It is a resource engine. I love tracking things. I love looking up like all the data mines and geeking out on spreadsheets. I really like designing infographics. That's how I got started in making content for Idol Heroes, actually. For all of you that aren't aware, I started making guides with Vince on Reddit. Was way back, but that's how I got my feet wet in the content game. And I find myself gravitating towards this again because the content calls for it. We gotta do some research. We gotta look at the numbers. How much we making? How much we getting? What are we gonna spend it on? All these things I'm gonna try to answer. I think this is gonna be a series, multiple videos spanning across all the PvE content that I currently think is important, that has been reworked, the new stuff that's been added to the game. I'm really excited to tackle it. I think I have somewhat of a grasp of all the concepts and like how they work together, like the pieces of the puzzle, how they fit in. So stick around. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into the video. We are going to start off this series taking a look at Sealand. I'm going to try to go into as much detail as humanly possible with the amount of time given on YouTube. You don't want these videos running like 30 minutes again. So I'm going to try to keep it short, but keep it detailed as well. It'll be a hard balancing act. Try not to go off on too many tangents, but we're going to start in Sealand, work our way into Celestial Island and all the other PvE content, Realms Gate, Void Vortex. What else is there? Tower of Dreams, all that content, all the resources that come with that, and how they interact with one each other now, where you get certain resources and what they're all for. I'm going to try to break down all that stuff for you through graphics, through conversation, as well as my explanation and my reasons why I think certain things are the way they are and what you should focus on. And we'll wrap it all up with a big bird's eye view of the totality of PvE and how much the landscape has changed for us over the last month or so. Again, we got the Void Vortex rework. We got Realms Gate being reworked. We also got Tower of Dreams being introduced. Now we have the Sealand expansion, and as well as the Cloud Island expansion. Those two things were just added in the last week, so there was a lot of things to digest. I think a lot of people are wondering, why is there so many resources? There's too many resources in the game. What are we supposed to do? This is what I thrive off of. This is what I love doing. This is my passion for any type of game I play. It's like resources and gathering resources, and what do I do with these resources? It just sings to me, right? It definitely resonates with the type of player that I am. So we will start here by taking a look at Sealand 21 to 25 and the resources that you're going to get by farming your respective Sealand level. Wherever you've progressed to on your account, I've kind of outlined what you get on a daily basis up top here. So the top of the chart here is going to tell you on a daily basis, if you're Sealand 21 and you're smashing 5 times, how many of those resources you're getting. And if you look underneath there, you're going to get your monthly totals. That'll tell you roughly how many resources you're getting based off of where you are in Sealand. If you aren't aware, as you start progressing further into Sealand, you're going to get more of these loot boxes, treasure chests, whatever we're going to call them. Inside each one of those chests is going to be fluorite, iron ingot, as well as toolboxes, fine wood, and of course, you're going to get your 4-star shards. Everyone's accustomed to that by now. Sealand provides these 4-star shards. On the topic of Sealand and what it provides, I actually think it is pretty much the foundation on which Idol Heroes is built off of. I don't think I'd be playing this game actually if Sealand didn't exist. It's like such an elegant design when it comes to a resource engine. It's a feedback loop, and what I mean by that is when you build your first hero and you start tackling Sealand content, what's going to happen is you go in with like a 6-star or 7-star or 8-star, 9-star. You go in, you get a couple Sealands completed. It's going to give you these 4-star shards in return. What's going to naturally happen is you're going to use those 4-star shards, fuse some 5-stars, and then use those 5-stars to make that hero that you got the 4-star shards with stronger, right? And then you go back into Sealand, and then you get more resources. You leave, you make the hero stronger. See, you see that cycle, right? A very natural cycle, and it's like self-contained. That feedback loop is really, really nice. And if it wasn't for that resource engine, this game really wouldn't have kind of the momentum to keep you kind of invested and give you the right pacing to build out your account in a timely manner. So I want to point out my philosophy for Sealand, or no, sorry, not for Sealand, for Idol Heroes is it's a game that you play over months and years, not days and weeks. I think that's a really healthy mindset to approach this game with. Your expectations kind of are realistic. You're not expecting to get these crazy gains from one event to the next. You're on a weekly basis. You really have to take this broad approach. Really look into like 6 months down the road and a year down the road. Now, I've been playing this game for 2.5 years now, and I don't see myself quitting anytime soon. And the more time I spend in the game, I just realize how much more important it is to be patient, to plan, and then to execute on that plan, and have just a longer time horizon, an outlook that is actually taking into account 6 months down the road and a year down the road. It might be crazy to think about a game like that, but this is Idle Heroes, and that is baked into the system. If you try to fight that system, you're often going to find yourself either struggling for resources or hitting these bottlenecks, and that is going to cause you probably to quit or to question why the game's designed in such a way. And it's because it's made to be an idle game. You're supposed to just kind of play it a little bit over a long period of time, and I think the devs have actually nailed it pretty well. As long as you don't force problems on yourself by trying to exceed the limits of the pacing that the devs have laid out, you'll be totally fine. That is just a little random tangent, but I think that's worth mentioning. That is my mindset when I approach this game. And every single time that I've tried to readjust my strategy, like moments like this, when I take a broad picture, like just the broad approach, it always reminds me that this is just going to be played over months and years. When you look at it like that, it really just dials in your expectations, and then you go, okay, I'm going to gather these resources day in and day out, and 6 months down the road, 8 months down the road, 12 months down the road, we're going to get this type of progress. So hopefully that makes sense. If we take a look again at this infograph, we'll see that I started with the CLAN with the 5 smashes, and that is just for the free-to-play players. All these infographis, the links for them will be in the description box down below, so if you want to take a closer look on your own time, feel free. All that stuff will be down below. I would say that the target you want to aim for is CLAN 23, so right in the middle here, this column right down here, as well as CLAN 25. 25, of course, pretty self-explanatory. You just get to the end, right? You get to the end, you get the best resources. It's like, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, get there if you can. But a lot of people are going to struggle, because if you don't have an established account, if you haven't been playing the game for like 2.5 years like myself, you just aren't going to have the resources or the pay-to-win artifacts or all of the above to really contest these harder stages in CLAN. But 23 is amazing goal to get to. That's a great checkpoint to sit at. 21 and 22 are like relatively easy. It kind of gets a little bit difficult at 23, but it's definitely possible. And then we get to 23, the spike from 23 to 24 is pretty noticeable, and then 25 is obviously the end game of CLAN, so that's obviously going to be designed hard. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be a cakewalk. So 23 is a good place to be. If you can get 24, even better, and 25 might just be the struggle. A lot of people are kind of struggling to get past the first couple stages of Abyss in CLAN 25. Again, if you haven't checked out my previous videos, CLAN Abyss, the best faction to be in right now. It's got the best budget clears. The bar to clear is very low. You're using a lot of Ignises, a lot of pay-to-win artifacts, but comparatively to the other ones, it's far easier. So if you haven't figured out Abyss yet, do check out the videos. Definitely try to get on that as soon as possible. The other thing I want to mention here is on the left-hand side, cost to upgrade the tenants 1 to 4. So the Cloud Island expansion that was released last week gave us this ability to build these homes with these tenants, and that is what I'm talking about here. It's just as a reminder, just so you have a reference point of how many materials you actually need to upgrade those buildings, right? So if the goal right now for CLAN is to get to CLAN 23 and of course 25, I would argue that the short-term goal, or maybe like a mid-term, long-term goal, is to get those buildings in Cloud Island to level 20 and level 30. And that's why I've kind of divided into two. Another reason why I divide into two columns here is because there is a small speed bump at level 20. When you're trying to get to level 21, the game is going to ask you to upgrade your primary residence. So where your host hero is, you're going to have to upgrade that building to level 2. So from level 1 to level 2, that will require some resources, but you do need to do that to gain access to level 21 for your tenants. A little confusing, but your home is going to be the thing that allows you to upgrade your tenant buildings down below past level 20. Hopefully that makes sense. So you need 1.2 million of these unique resources to upgrade it to level 20, and then you need roughly about 1.3 million to upgrade it further, right? And the toolboxes, you're going to need 266,000 to get it to level 20, and then roughly 250k to get it to level 30. We're not sure of the exact numbers yet. Shout out to Typical for giving me the details here and doing the good math, so I don't have to. But that's roughly what we're estimating, that 20 to 30. And you may notice there's this weird looking thing down here. Spoiler alert, that is the master toolbox. That is going to be the paywall that you are going to hit at level 30. So to get past level 30, to build that building all the way up to level 50, you are going to need 2 of these master toolboxes per building. Now there's 4 of those building, which means you probably need 8. My gut tells me it's going to be very similar to the Star Spawn system, where it's going to be offered through the monthly packs and the pay to win cash shop. And then maybe, hopefully, eventually, they'll put it out in the campaign like they've done with the Star Spawn mats. So that'll be a really good thing if they actually allow us access to that as free to play or low spenders. Based off of the previous decisions by the development team, I think it's safe to say or to speculate that we will gain access to it probably 6 months to 8 months after its release in the cash shop. I left a note here: toolboxes are used in all 6 buildings and therefore will be your bottleneck. That is a very important point, and that is something we're going to continue to drive home throughout this thing. That's what started me on this journey of doing the research and figuring all this stuff out, is like, when you're playing a resource game, you want to figure out where your bottlenecks are going to be. Then you can plan accordingly, if that makes sense, because that's a general strategy, right? There's always going to be a rare resource in a game, and it's whether or not it's worthwhile spending the extra effort to grab more of them, or if it's even accessible. So I've asked that question of the new system and all the new resources, and the most rare, or not the most rare, it's actually a common resource, but the resource that is in the most highest demand, I guess is a better way of putting it, is going to be the toolboxes, because it is utilized in these 4 primary tenant locations, as well as the 2 aura locations. But we'll talk more about those aura locations when we get into Cloud Island, so I can describe it a little bit further. But now that we roughly understand the layout of this infographic, we'll hop on over to the Sealand 9 Smash. This is primarily where we're going to be basing a lot of our arguments from, and I'm trying to make a case where Sealand 9 is the one to go for. Again, this is not accessible to everyone, but I'm just going to assume that maybe 50% of the player base does have a monthly card, so they can afford the 300 gems. Of course, if you're free to play, you just have to rely on the Sealand 5 data and all that. And you can always kind of dial back my recommendations or my suggestions to kind of fit your spending habits. If you take a look at Sealand 23, you see that as you start increasing the smashes from left to right, we have 5, 9, and 12. You're going to get just more resources, right? Every single time you increase and you're buying more smashes, of course, you're going to get more stuff. The interesting thing that I discovered while gathering all this information was that day 1, my gut told me, okay, I got to Sealand 23, I should buy as many smashes as I probably can afford. So I started buying 12 smashes, and it's been about a week now I've been buying 12 smashes. But as I started looking into the details, it dawned on me that actually that wasn't the best strategy to implement. You know, spending 600 extra gems wasn't the way to get around this toolbox bottleneck, right? So really interesting stuff. My gut told me one thing, but when I did the research, numbers don't lie, actually isn't the best way to increase your toolbox income. So 3 smashes for 300 gems, pretty affordable as a monthly card holder, and that's why I think a lot of this is going to be based off of this middle column here with the 9 smashes. When I was buying the 12 smashes, I thought I was big braining it. I was early to the game. I'm gonna get ahead everybody with this toolbox thing. I think I'm onto something. Nah, bro. That was not the case. You're only getting about 30,000 more toolboxes, like a 30% increase. It's not that much more. And the way that the devs have designed the Sealand smashing, like the price structure, is that the first 3 are 100 gems, but then the next batch of 3 is double the price. So they're 200 gems per smash. So it's not as worth to buy the 10th and 11th and 12th smash. Hopefully that makes sense. My recommendation for the Sealand is going to be focusing on Sealand 9 smashes. I think you're getting the best bang for your buck. A lot of people already know this because there are more resources now in the game, and some people might have actually stepped away from getting Sealand smashes because they're allocating their gems for resonance gear, they're moving their enables around, they're attempting Tower of Dreams as well as Vortex. Maybe they're saving for Vortex. A lot of factors now that require a lot of gems. It's really a gem intensive game now, so a lot of people are probably saying, okay, I probably don't need to do the Sealand smashes. I would argue that 300 gems is well worth it. If you think about it on a monthly basis, 9,000 gems is nothing for a monthly card holder. These materials are going to become the new end game, the new way to make your heroes even stronger than they currently are, to take them past Void 4 status. So to wrap things up, hopefully you guys learned something from this video, my outlook on Sealand and just PvE as we're starting into like a new era of PvE. We got to dissect all the other PvEs, so that's coming up. How do we get more toolboxes, right? And you gotta stay tuned. Next episode will be dropping soon. You guys can check that one out. I'll give you a little spoiler here. It's gonna be about toolboxes, of course. Stay tuned for that one. Thank you so much for checking out the video. If you did enjoy it, you learned something, please leave me a like, a comment, subscribe. Let me know how I'm doing. I'm only human. Be gentle. I really do appreciate being able to do this. I'm super grateful. I'm humbled. Thank you so much. Until next time, folks. Peace.